Imagine having so much money that the global economy feels like a casino where you own all the chips. In 1973, Nelson Bunker Hunt and William Herbert Hunt did not just want to play the game. They decided to buy the entire board. The United States was bleeding, the gold standard was dead, inflation was suffocating the working class, and a massive oil embargo was choking the life out of industry. To the Hunt brothers, paper money was quickly becoming toxic waste. They were the heirs to one of the most astronomical oil fortunes in American history. Their father had built an empire from the Texas dirt, passing down not just billions of dollars, but a deep, paranoid hatred of government control and fiat currency. The brothers needed a vault, a tangible, indestructible asset that would survive the impending economic apocalypse. Gold was out of the question, as it was illegal for American citizens to hoard it at the time. So, they zeroed in on the next best thing: silver. It was trading at roughly $2 an ounce. To the Hunts, it was insultingly cheap. But they did not just want to hedge against inflation. They wanted total, suffocating control. They began to swallow the global supply. Quietly at first, they bought up physical silver bullion, loading millions upon millions of ounces into heavily fortified, secret vaults across Switzerland and the United Kingdom. But hoarding physical metal was moving too slowly for their colossal ambitions. The brothers pivoted to the shadowy, high-velocity world of futures contracts. By 1979, the global panic they had predicted was finally arriving. The Iranian Revolution caused oil prices to violently explode, and inflation in America was spiraling into double digits. Fear is a powerful catalyst, and the Hunt brothers used it as a weapon. They weaponized their massive oil empire, using it as collateral to borrow billions upon billions of dollars from the largest banks on Wall Street. They were playing with unprecedented leverage, borrowing money to buy more silver, to drive up the price of the silver they already owned. And they were not acting alone. They forged a secretive alliance with ultra-wealthy Saudi Arabian royalty, pooling a tidal wave of capital to drown the silver market. Their strategy was brutal and brilliantly simple. In the futures market, most traders just settle their bets in cash, not the Hunts. When their contracts expired, they demanded physical delivery. They forced the sellers to find actual silver and hand it over. This relentless, manufactured drain on the physical supply created the mother of all squeezes. By the winter of 1979, the price of silver shattered its historical ceiling. It blasted past $10, then $20. By January of 1980, silver reached a completely terrifying $50.48 an ounce. The Hunt brothers and their syndicate now held an estimated 200 million ounces. They had successfully cornered exactly half of the entire privately held silver supply on planet Earth. Their paper profits were sickeningly high, reaching into the tens of billions. But while the Hunts celebrated in Texas, the rest of the world was burning. The unnatural price explosion ripped through the global economy like a shockwave. Photographic film companies entirely dependent on silver began bleeding cash. Jewelry makers were forced into bankruptcy, melting down priceless antique family heirlooms just to keep their lights on.
We hit the harbor
The
first.
sheer gravitational weight of the Hunts' manipulation was tearing the fabric of the commodity exchanges apart. The Federal Reserve and the Wall Street elite stared into the abyss. The Hunts were too big. Their leverage was too massive. If their silver bubble popped, it would drag the biggest banks in America down into the grave with them, triggering a catastrophic, systemic financial meltdown. The authorities realized that to beat the Hunts, they could not just play better. They had to rig the casino. On January 21st, 1980, the regulators slammed the emergency brakes. They enacted Silver Rule 7. Overnight, they banned the purchase of new silver futures. Traders were only legally allowed to sell. At the exact same time, they exponentially jacked up the margin requirements, demanding massive, immediate cash deposits from traders using leverage. The Hunt brothers were suddenly trapped. The exits were nailed shut, and the oxygen was instantly sucked out of the room. On March 27, 1980, a day that Wall Street still whispers about as Silver Thursday, the margin call came due. The brokers demanded over $100 million in immediate cash. The billionaire brothers, drowning in leverage and unable to sell their phantom silver, defaulted. The trap violently snapped shut. The price of silver went into free fall, plummeting faster than anyone thought mathematically possible. In a matter of hours, the Hunt brothers were financially obliterated. The men who tried to own the world were stripped of their empire, eventually dragged into personal bankruptcy and decades of grueling litigation. The fallout was biblical. Congressional hearings dragged the brothers into the unforgiving public spotlight, exposing the dangerous, unregulated underbelly of the commodities market. It forced a permanent, sweeping restructuring of how global financial exchanges operate, cementing strict position limits and surveillance protocols that exist to this very day. The Hunt brothers had stared down the barrel of the global economy, convinced they held the only loaded weapon. Instead, they engineered their own spectacular execution. They serve as a permanent, billion-dollar ghost story whispered on trading floors. A dark reminder that absolute greed is the most dangerous drug in finance, and when you try to corner the world will eventually corner you.